group of 5 friends decided to hike deep into the Appalachian Mountains for a weekend camping trip. On the second day, they stumbled upon an old, overgrown trail that wasn't on any of their maps. Intrigued by the possibility of discovering something new, they decided to follow it. The trail led them to an eerie, abandoned cabin. It was late, so they set up camp nearby, despite feeling uneasy about the location. That night, they took turns keeping watch, but during John's shift he heard faint, disembodied whispers. He tried to wake his friends, but he found himself paralyzed. The whispers grew louder and more insistent, coming from all around him. Suddenly, the whispers stopped, and John regained his movement. He decided not to mention the incident to avoid scaring the others. The next day, the group continued their hike, but they noticed strange symbols carved into the trees, symbols that seemed to point towards the cabin. That night they were woken by John's screams. They found him outside the tent, staring into the dark woods, his face pale with terror. He claimed he saw a figure with glowing eyes watching him from the shadows. Determined to leave the area, they packed up and began their trek back to the main trail. But the forest seemed to have changed. The familiar path was gone, replaced by an endless maze of trees. Panic set in as they realized they were lost. Exhausted and desperate, they decided to split up to find a way out. Hours passed, and one by one, they started to disappear. The remaining friends, now 3, heard horrifying screams echoing through the forest. They regrouped at the cabin, hoping to find their missing friends. Inside, they found old photographs of previous hikers, all with terrified expressions. As night fell, they felt an oppressive presence surrounding them. Suddenly, the door slammed shut, and the whispers returned, louder and more menacing. A ghostly figure appeared, revealing itself as a hiker who had vanished years ago. It pointed towards the woods, and the friends knew they had to escape. They ran blindly through the forest, guided by sheer terror. Finally, they broke through the tree line and found the main trail. Exhausted and traumatized, they reached safety and vowed never to return. They reported the incident to the authorities, but no trace of their missing friends was ever found. The legend of the vanished hiker still haunts the Appalachian Mountains, warning others to stay away from the abandoned cabin. 3 college friends decided to spend their summer break camping by a secluded lake deep within a dense forest. The lake had a dark history. It was said to be cursed after a family drowned there under mysterious circumstances decades ago. Ignoring the warnings from the locals, the friends set up their camp by the serene yet eerie lake. The first night was peaceful, but on the second night, strange things began to happen. They heard the faint sound of children laughing and splashing in the water, but when they checked, the lake was still. Sarah, the skeptic of the group, dismissed it as their imagination playing tricks. However, her friends, Jake and Lisa, felt an overwhelming sense of dread. The next day, they went for a swim, hoping to shake off the eerie feeling. While swimming, Jake felt something cold brush against his leg. He panicked and swam back to shore, but his friends laughed it off as a fish. That evening, they found wet footprints leading from the lake to their campsite. Fear began to set in as they realized they weren't alone. That night, Sarah woke up to the sound of a woman sobbing. She followed the sound to the edge of the lake, where she saw a ghostly figure of a woman dressed in old-fashioned clothes. The woman turned towards Sarah, revealing hollow black eyes, and whispered, "Leave this place." Terrified, Sarah ran back to the tent and told her friends what she saw. The group decided to leave at first light, but during the night, they were tormented by terrifying visions and ghostly apparitions. Lisa was lured towards the lake by the sound of a child crying for help. As she reached the water, ghostly hands emerged and tried to drag her in. Her friends pulled her back just in time, but Lisa was left in a state of shock. Desperate to escape, they packed up and started their journey back to civilization. The forest seemed to conspire against them, with paths disappearing and strange noises following their every step. Exhausted and scared, they finally reached the main road and drove away, vowing never to speak of the cursed lake again. Years later, Sarah came across an old newspaper article detailing the drowning of the family and the subsequent haunting of the lake. She learned that the family had been cursed by a local witch, and their spirits were doomed to haunt the lake forever. The friends never fully recovered from their experience, and the cursed lake remained a dark secret they could never forget. A group of 6 friends embarked on an adventurous camping trip to a forest, known for its beauty and its legends of being haunted. The locals called it the Forest of Lost Souls, as many who entered were never seen again. Undeterred, the group set out to explore the untouched wilderness and prove the legends wrong. The first few days were filled with fun and exploration. They hiked, swam, and enjoyed the tranquility of the forest. However, on the 4th night, things took a sinister turn. They heard distant cries for help, but when they tried to locate the source, they found nothing but an eerie silence. The following day, they discovered an old, crumbling mansion hidden deep within the forest. Intrigued, they decided to investigate. Inside, they found dusty rooms filled with old photographs and belongings of a family that had vanished decades ago. The atmosphere was thick with a sense of sorrow and despair. That night, around the campfire, they shared stories about the mansion. Suddenly, the fire flickered and died, plunging them into darkness. Ghostly figures appeared around them, whispering in a language they couldn't understand. Terrified, they huddled together, unable to move. One of the friends, Mark, felt a cold hand touch his shoulder. He screamed, and the figures vanished, leaving the group shaken and scared. They decided to leave the forest the next morning, but as they packed up, they realized one of their friends, Emily, was missing. Desperately searching for her, they retraced their steps to the mansion. Inside, they heard Emily's voice calling for help from the basement. They found her, but she was different. Her eyes were vacant, and she spoke in a monotone voice. She led them deeper into the mansion, where they found a hidden room filled with ancient artifacts and a large, ominous mirror. The mirror began to glow, and the ghostly figures from the previous night reappeared, now clearly visible as the family from the photographs. They revealed that they were trapped by a curse and needed a soul to take their place to be freed. Emily, now possessed, tried to force her friends towards the mirror. In a desperate struggle, they managed to break the mirror, shattering the curse and freeing the souls of the family. Emily collapsed, and the friends carried her out of the mansion. As they left the forest, they felt an overwhelming sense of relief, but the memory of the Forest of Lost Souls haunted them forever. Emily never fully recovered from the ordeal, and the friends could never shake the feeling that something was still watching them, waiting for another chance to claim a soul. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed these stories, give us a thumbs up, or if you're too scared to hit that like button, we totally understand. Be sure to subscribe for more spine-tingling tales. Sweet dreams, everyone, and if you hear whispers tonight, well, it was nice knowing you.